we're just talking. We're talking here because it's the second episode. Hold My Cutter here, that burned by Rocky Patel, along with they got great
I tell you
thin
what.
crust pizza here, don't they? Taste-
I'm good. Thank you, but that is delicious.
He already ate a couple.
I think I already crushed.
But
I already crushed some pizza.
No,
Sean
it was
Casey,
a
our
ribeye.
guest.
Yeah.
Our featured smoke with Sean Casey. The featured smoke, of course, with the Irishman is the Emerald, burned by Rocky Patel. Hold My Cutter. We
Oh
talked.
my cutter! What a great name.
Hey, he just found out. This is the second time he's been on with us.
No.
The first thing he said when he walked in to Burned by Rocky Patel was, my favorite podcast, aside from my own, is Hold My Cutter. And I said, well, welcome. You're on Hold My Cutter.
It is.
Because,
Yeah, he was so humble. He said, my podcast maybe like 6.
maybe.
Yeah.
He's a very
It's
humble,
top 10,
humble man.
but it's like a 6.
Top 10.
We talked in the first podcast with you, with the mayor, about your hitting coach job. I never had a chance to ask you, though. We did touch on kind of the philosophy, but what about you almost, I would think, again, you're a humble human, career OPS in a dozen years in the big leagues, 814, and a 302 career hitter
14.
in a dozen years. You know how few people, minuscule numbers of guys in the big leagues who played more than 5 years, let alone a dozen, who hit 300, let alone had that career OPS of 814. So you've got the resume. You're a Reds Hall of Famer, legit. You come in now, you're a hitting coach. Do you have to almost humble yourself in a way because some of these guys may not know your resume?
They don't.
Well, I mean,
you know what's funny?
is that
about it?
hard?
Did you want to
Well,
say,
actually,
like, go check the Reds?
You know what?
I would've
No.
laughed.
At some point you want to be like, hey, I was a good. I
Yeah,
did
yeah.
this.
Yeah, by the way, I know
I was
what
a
I'm
good
doing.
player too. Yeah, but I think what's funny is this generation knows me more from the network. They're like, hey, we love your work.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking they love me. Oh, man, great career. Hey, great demo you did last week.
Did you ever play the game? You look like you could play.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think that's I think what if the guys know that you're there for them, the guys know. I mean, a big thing for me is I was on the top step every pitch. If you were hitting, you heard me. You know what I mean? And I was in it. And I wanted to get tossed one time. I should have got tossed, but I almost got tossed a few times because I was on the umpires too about a certain
one-day contract.
Yeah.
You'd be the first ever.
Yeah.
One-day contract, get thrown out and walk away.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I know. So
Did you ever get thrown out?
I should have. When I was in Florida one time, I was yelling, and Brad Wilkerson, remember Wilkie?
Yeah.
Wilkie was my assistant hitting coach, and they're like, Wilkie's gone, and Wilkie's like, me? I'm like, yeah, Wilkie, you're gone.
You had everybody's back. That's what they loved about Casey.
Yeah. So I think the big thing about being a hitting coach is you got to let those guys know that, like, I know how hard it is.
So that's more important than anything.
It is, because these guys got to know, because there's so much scrutiny, there's so much negativity, especially in New York. I mean, you're always the spotlight's so bright. You got to know when you look in that dugout. At least the coaching staff has your back, but your hitting coach has your back. You know that he's cheering for you. He wants you to he wants you to do well, and I think that was a big thing.
We talked in that earlier episode about Aaron Judge and his routine and how helpful that is to have a star like that go through that routine, because you can always say, hey, look what this guy does. But what about guys that aren't the stars? And do you feel like you have to spend more time, obviously, with guys like that and milk them?
Oh,
more than, right?
Those are the guys you spend most of the time with. I'm not going to name any names, but there's many a guy that I was hitting with that wasn't the Aaron Judge of the world. They were like the guys that were in and out of the lineup at times. I remember when I first got there in Anaheim, I hit with a guy for like 2 hours after the game. And he was like, I think it's my hands. I'm like, all right, good. We hit for an hour. I'm sweating, feeding the machine. He's sweating bullets. Right when we're about, all right, bro, you good? The bus has already left. It spreads down. Everything. I'm like, you good? He's like, you know what? I think I figured something out. It's my back hip.
Oh.
I'm like, what? I was
After
like,
2 hours of the hands.
That's why don't play. This is why you don't play, because you're going to get your hands, your hips,
Oh,
your feet.
my gosh. But you don't stop. You wouldn't stop. Well, it was early on. But in that situation, because I think it's my hands, you just let them go. You don't go, it's your hip.
Yeah,
I mean,
I let a lot of guys figure it out themselves.
That's what I mean.
I was going to say, let me guess, you let them figure it out themselves.
Yeah, that's what I would, because that's what I did. That's what I wanted. If I hit enough, I could get a feel.
Yeah.
But if you're telling me 4 or 5 things and I'm trying to, in my mind, I know that's not it. It's this. Okay, do that and let's see if it is that.
Yeah,
gotcha.
and something that like I think I've seen and I love to do is just ask more questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I love going to hit with Kutch because it's just not normal, right?
Yeah.
Like he does things. It's like he early on his approach was Little League, right? But like you try to get him to articulate something that he can't articulate because he's so good.
He's so good.
And that's the best part about talking about like with Mike Trout or somebody like that. They just don't understand how good they are.
Dude.
They make the worst hitting coaches, but
Yeah.
Kutch over time with his injuries, different things, having to learn how to DH, the dude's become a wizard of understanding his body.
Start figuring it out.
Yeah, so like
Right.
it's so cool because now he can go to O'Neill Cruz and understand things he never could have.
Yeah.
And talk there because he's really good one-on-one.
Yeah.
And it's neat to see that, but that's what it takes.
It's
Like,
it's so true. I remember going to Ken Griffey Jr. I'm like, Griff, you're the greatest hitter on the planet. I played with him for 6 years.
can't wait to hear this.
I'm like, man, you got that, your hands are back, you great load, and I go, what are you thinking out there mechanically? He goes, just trying to get the head out, and he would just go like this, and I was like, well, that doesn't look like what you're doing. For 6 years, I asked Ken Griffey Jr., hey, you're raking right now. What are you doing, Griffin? Just trying to get the head out. I'm like, oh my God, that's why he's the greatest hitter of all time. It's
crazy. So great.
He couldn't explain it.
He
Just knew that this right here got all of it to work.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was incredible. It was absolutely great. So, and like, remember Gary Sheffield hitting with Chef one time. We were both struggling at the beginning of 07. Chef's in there, looks like he's having a seizure. He's like, wham! And I remember
like this.
It was incredible.
Like, no way.
Yeah. So it was unbelievable. I remember one time he's like, Case, do what I'm doing. He's like, just relax. He goes,
it's easy.
and he goes, do what I'm doing. Just relax. I go, Chef, you look like the opposite of relaxed. You look like you're
You look like the kid that's like
yeah,
this.
Yeah, you look like you're grinding. But it's like these are some of the greatest hitters of all time. Johnny Bench would say, hey, just pull the ball. Let's pull the ball. I'm like, really? I go, well, he goes, yeah, just get up there and pull. And I'm like, wow, these guys could just do it at the end of the day.
Hey, it's crazy. There's so many stories like that. Yeah, the fact is, like, when I met Tulowitzki, it took a while to get in. He was that Mamba mentality. Like,
Right.
he kind of did his own thing, had his own hitting guy. But, like, I would just go sit and watch and not say anything. And I learned that from Helton, like, just don't say a word.
Right.
And it was good for me. So just sat there. I was shy early on. And what he would do, he would take soft toss. And I'm like, I's taking soft toss.
Right.
He just took 14 balls and watched him go back. And then one day he hit shower shoes, and I'm like, this is it. I got to go talk to him. And it changed my world because he said something, and I'm like, whoa, I'm losing the ground. And then my hips were out of line because I was a biomechanics thinker, and I didn't know it then. And it changed my world. He did it every single time he was in a bad place, hit his shower shoes, and his shoes would never move. So he was landing soft, and it was clean, and I understood it because I was sitting there, and I was like, wow. And he never told me a word, and I went up to him finally, scared to death of him, because I thought he could murder me, because he had that stoic face, never smiled, but then getting to know him, like, he wanted to win so bad, he kept his circle small. And I got to go to dinner, eat sushi with him, and he just told me his entire thought process and what he was doing. That time he's hitting 390 in July before he got hurt. And, man, he did it in a rocket science way. I was like, if dude with that talent understood that much, like, and he could stay healthy, he's going to be the best player I've ever seen in my life.
Had he stayed healthy, he'd probably be a superstar.
It was nuts. And then other guys like Corey Dickerson, bro, that slider, I knew he was going to throw. I was like, Corey, I'm hitting by. He just threw you a fastball at 97. You had third deck. He had no clue. And the smarter he got hitting wise, the worse he got.
I know. The smarter guys get him. Like, dude, the guys that could always, hey, Case, I got a tip. You want it? I go, you got the tip? No. You're hitting 207. You stink. I'm just going to stay with what I do. I'm going to see it, hunt the fastball, and hit it. Okay? No, I don't want your tip.
I don't want a tip.
No, I don't want
Go
a
back
tip.
and hit 206.
Yeah, I got a tip for you to pick up another sport.
Yeah, I got one.
What about Case? What about Daniel Murphy did this to me? I played with him in the minor leagues, and like he was overmatched. Velocity, overmatched. Could not do it. Next time I saw him, he was like a rocket scientist. I didn't even know what he was saying. He was like talking about inches and movement patterns before there's a TrackMan and all this stuff. I'm like, and then he crushed Kershaw. I knew exactly what he was doing. He was looking in an exact spot, an exact moment, and it was unreal, but it changed his whole career.
It's amazing guys can do that.
Yeah,
And he
some
got it from
guys-
Delgado.
I couldn't do that.
Some guys want the
Yeah, because he did that, and then he had a tip on Kershaw, and I was like, he's gonna get him, and it was nuts. But nobody knew Delgado first half awful, second half he had the tips, and somehow Daniel Murphy figured out his system.
Yeah. Tips are a big part of the game.
Well, yeah, but Murphy was also huge on the analytics stuff. That's what turned his
he
career
was so
around.
far, but he was way before it.
Yeah,
Right, but when
understand.
that came in, I was like, boom, he just went off because it was giving him his cheat code like that.
Well, we talk about it all the time about the numbers, and you mentioned that first episode about how they're important, but daggone it, it's such a fine line, isn't it?
It's a fine line, man. It's a fine line. It really is, and I don't think more information is necessarily good. I really don't. I think the simpler you can be, I think complexity is the enemy of execution.
Oh, well said.
Complexity is the enemy of execution. If you get too complex into your mind in this game, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I'm not saying, it might work. No, it doesn't work.
But what happens?
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
work.
a lot. Lock it in. It does not
work.
work.
It does not work.
Yeah.
Like tactical game planning. I got to sit in a meeting with some Navy SEALs, and like, you think it's going to be this overcomplicated thing. By the end of it, it's the simplest thing ever because they're like, it's not going to go down like this.
Right.
Because as soon as the first bomb drop, somebody's going to panic. Something's going to happen. And they talked about when they started training the Iraqi soldiers, I'm like, that's baseball. Right. Something happens that you could never imagine, and you're so focused on, I know he's going to throw this 2-0, but you don't even see that his ball's cutting instead of sinking.
Right.
You're not even see the fly the ball. Chili Davis once again said, dude, it's not sinking.
Yeah.
Go up there and don't look for the sinker. It's cutting. And sure enough, whap, homer. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Like, I wasn't looking down and in trying to box him this way. I was just like, just see it there. See it up.
It's true, man.
Sean, when you got the job with the Yankees, did they impress upon you that, hey, we want you to incorporate the number? We're going to give you a lot of the numbers. We want you to do it.
Yeah.
Or they give free hand? Like,
well, no, they said, Bowie was like, do what you want to do.
Oh, that's awesome.
But the big thing is, you do have to use the numbers. I mean, you have to use the numbers to game plan, maybe for some pitchers. Some guys do want numbers, especially like horizontal, vertical break and stuff like that. It was all new stuff for me. I'm like, what does this even mean? You know, some of the stuff like that. But a lot of guys, want the numbers. And one thing you do is you've got to be prepared. If you're a hitting coach or coach in the big leagues, those guys sniff out guys that aren't putting the work in. So like you had to sit down with the analytics guys. I had to sit down with the video guys, and get that team and make sure. I wanted everybody to know there's enough to go around. You do your job, I'll do my job. You do your job, you do your job, and let's be a team. Let's not be talking behind each other's back and stuff like that. Let's make sure that we're a unit. We're the hitting unit is a hitting unit.
He's the mayor.
So that's the way to do it. And I think it was just like, Brownie, you have to be able to do it all nowadays. You can't just say, hey, this is how I used to do it, and this is the old school way, because guys don't want to hear that. They want to have the information, and then, like you said, how can we Navy SEAL it and simplify the mission?
Yeah.
Give me all the information.
Like, what's your job?
I want to know what's going to happen. I want to know every scenario. Now let me take the information and dumb it down to he's going to throw first pitch 62% of the time he's going to throw a four-seamer away, or this guy's a big slider guy. One thing I learned about the big leagues nowadays is even the guys that are throwing 98, 99, they might throw more sliders.
Yeah.
They might throw 52% sliders. That blew me away.
Yeah.
That was one thing I was like, wow, man, there's more of that than ever.
And the percentages, I think, are awesome. Wouldn't you love to know that every time a guy's on second base, he's probably going to throw off-speed pitch 80% of the time?
Yeah.
Right?
Good to know.
But in your brain, you're like, that 20% back in the day, but now it's a certain, that helps.
Yeah,
right?
no doubt.
Is it something there? You put it in. You did the hitting coach thing, and you're saying, glad I did it.
Yeah.
But that's it. I'm happy to have done it.
Yeah, that's interesting, Brownie, because I'm glad I did it.
But
that was an
you're
incredible
whipped
experience.
after that, aren't you?
The grind is real.
Man.
The grind is real.
Yeah.
What you guys do is real, and even for you, dude.
But hitting coach.
But preparing for games and living the life. The life's not easy.
It is.
Travel and stuff
What
like that.
time did you get to the ballpark?
Dude,
Derek Shelton, that was the first question I wanted to ask him. 1 o'clock.
Incredible.
1 o'clock.
I know.
1 o'clock.
For a 7:05 game.
Yeah. Although the one good thing was that the Yankees had two of the best chefs in the world, and I was like, guys are showing up and doing. I mean, we had 3 meals a day. It was like
The premier
steak, chicken, and fish on every buffet. And then they'd have, they get the Latinos would have the plantains, the rice and beans on every buffet. I mean, I love Latino food. I'm like, give me the plantains. But I was like, this is incredible. I was like, this isn't good for anyone. If you're a coach, especially if you're a coach where you're not like going through 3 shirts of sweat like you are as a player. Like you become a slob quickly.
So you stepped away from MLB.
Yeah.
You did that, and then did you know, like, at least I had that to fall back on.
Yeah, well,
That's
the
nice
MLB
too.
was great, and like those guys are the head guy Noah Garden's a great guy, and he was like Mark Kayafa. The guys they're like, hey, if you want to come back, your seat's waiting for you. So I'm so glad I did it, Brownie. And I also think I had 2 daughters that were one was a senior in high school, one was in 8th grade. Now my daughter's randomly she's at Fordham in the Bronx. It's where she goes to college, which is crazy. And then my other daughter's Jillian is a freshman. So, you know what? I actually think at some point maybe I would like to try going in and seeing what it's like. Maybe when the kids are all gone,
get back at it and see, like, for a full
give it a rip
couple
for
of years.
Yeah, a couple of years and see what it's like. I do think about it.
How about
I love it.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it. Like, when you did it, I didn't know what was going to come of it. I didn't know if it was your dream.
Yeah.
And watch you like go out, I was like, man, I can't wait to hear like that story.
Yeah.
Because like
Mac, it was awesome.
But it's Yankees too.
It's the Yankees, dude.
It's the Yankees.
I honestly think, had it been any other situation, any other team, I wouldn't have done it.
You see, you were so close to Booney.
Booney's a great friend.
Yeah.
Of mine. We played 6 years together in Cincinnati.
So
we
cool.
came in together, playing against each other in the minors.
He's such a great guy.
Played with his brother Brett. Bob was my manager.
Played for
Bob was my manager for 3 years. So like, it was just it was when he asked me too, I was like, okay, there's a good friend asking me. It's the Yankees. If you play Major League Baseball, you want to suit up with the pinstripes. You're hoping to do it at some point.
Yeah.
So for me to do it as a coach was just incredible. And you really are. I mean, it's a different animal, man. I mean, everywhere we went was sold out, packed.
Unbelievable.
I mean, it was incredible. It was an experience.
Were you surprised when you got the call, or you kind of had an inkling that you might get the call from Aaron Boone? Or was it out of the blue?
I was definitely surprised. Booney had asked me before to come on the staff.
Okay.
So that I wasn't surprised about, but I was surprised that it was that it was the timing of at the All-Star break.
We talked to athletes, talked to former players. You talked in your first episode about how you just knew your last year with the Red Sox, first time you were off the bench, and you just knew that was going to be your last year. Still, talking to guys that have now taken Michael McHenry, Bob Walk, the guy, Neil Walk, these guys, it's interesting to watch them change from that competitive fire that they had, going into a clubhouse every day and having a chance to impact a game, to win or lose it. Now to go up to a booth or to be in a studio and not be able to impact the game. So how do you get that? How do you fill your drive, that void?
You don't.
Was it tough for you? Because it seems to be tough for a lot of these guys to walk away from it.
I must admit, that first couple years when I was done playing, I struggled.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
I
wanted to hear, but I figured.
I struggled. Listen, we're creatures of habit. Your routine, your off-season working out, getting the cages, working on your swing, taking ground balls, getting your sprints in, all that stuff. For 15 years, that's boom, 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 boom. Moving 3 times a year was part of it. Moving here, moving there, boxing up the house, having kids. And all of a sudden, I'll never forget it. I retired. And I remember standing in my living room in Pittsburgh. It was at Upper St. Clair. It was like noon. Kids were at school. I was by myself. I looked up on the screen. It was ESPN News. And at the bottom it said, 12-year, 3-time All-Star, Sean Casey retires. And it just was gone. And I remember looking at it going, that's it. That's it, man. All these years, all the time, all the hard work, all the routine, everything you put in, your life is baseball. And you get on the ticker on ESPN News, runs it by and says, Sean Casey retires. And who's next? And life moves on. Baseball moves on. That doesn't mean it's easy for you to move on, And I remember being home all the time. I was working 50 days that first year at the network, and it was not easy. Not easy. I don't know if you had the same feeling.
Oh, it was
know?
awful. It was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
'cause-
no one really prepares you for it either. They're
Right.
Like, oh, you're retired. Hey,
It's
how's
the
it going?
finality of it.
That must be great. I'm like, great. I'm very
You
uneasy.
know what to do with yourself.
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
That right there would have changed my life throughout my entire career because I would have been in the moment. I would have stopped like you did with Van Slyke
Yeah.
and said, "Bro, I look up to you."
Right.
Like I regret every single day I played catch with Javi Lopez, and I was next to Marcus Giles, who is my guy because we had Atlanta.
Right.
He's putting on soccer shin guards, running around with just a jockstrap on. He's high energy, and I'm like, "Go talk to him." And I never did, and
Right.
it's all those regrets. Like it's like I didn't want to have any regrets on the field, which I didn't. Tired when I wanted to, but not being in the moment is everything that I'm like, why did I not do that? It's because I didn't know any better. I was so naive.
Right.
Right?
You
But
think it's going to last forever, too.
You do. And then
You're
it's
like,
over in a
oh, yeah.
heartbeat.
I remember Ray Knight saying to me, my fifth year in the big leagues, he was very frustrated with some of us and some of the guys.
How was he as a manager?
Ray was great. He wasn't
Okay.
my manager, but he was my hitting coach.
Oh, I thought he. Okay.
It was with Bob Boone. He was on Bob Boone's
That's
staff.
right. That's right. Yeah.
And Ray was great. And Ray was big on, like, I remember him saying one time, he goes, guys, appreciate this. He goes, it's going to go by like that. He goes, I've been out of the game now and whatever it was, 12 years. It seems like yesterday I was just, and I'm like, I remember thinking, like, who's this old guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's this guy
Who's
talking
he
about?
kidding?
And here I am, like, 17 years later at being done with the game saying, wow, was he right?
Did you actually say you were retiring? I mean, did you actually announce it?
I called, I think
I just wondered because some guys don't announce it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then-
I think I talked to the,
Yeah.
the reason I did is because I got hired by the network.
Oh, that's right.
So they had to
Oh,
make an
yeah.
announcement. So I made an
Okay,
announcement,
yeah.
told the really
That's
a lot of
right.
the Reds guys, and then
Yeah.
then I came on that I was joining MLB
That's
Network.
right.
So yeah, that's why I had to do it.
Okay. How about going back to you touched on it, but I wanted to hear the story. December 5th of, I guess it was 2005. How you found out you were traded to the Pirates?
Crazy. I just had my first daughter, Carly. She was 7 days old.
Jeez.
I wasn't thinking much of anything. I knew the winter meetings was going on, but I didn't think much. I thought I was going to be a Cincinnati Red for life. I knew I had a few more years to go, and I was going to be done. And I get a call from Hal McCoy. You know Hal McCoy, right? One of the greatest
Writers.
Cooperstown writers ever, Dayton Daily News, good friend of mine. Call me 8 a.m. He's like, hey, Case. He's like, I think you're getting traded. I was like, what? To who? He's like, I think you're getting traded to the Pirates. Oh, I was like, wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, and it was like that stage of my career. I'm like, if I was getting traded, I would like to go somewhere to win.
Yeah.
The Pirates were struggling at
Yeah.
the time, and I know Dave was trying to
Yep.
get Joe Randon, Jeremy Burnett, and try to do well. So I was thankful for Dave Littlefield for that. But I couldn't believe it. But I don't get a call again until 5 p.m. And it's Dan O'Brien, who's the GM of the Reds, and he's
All
like,
long
day
time.
long. You
Yeah.
go the
That's
entire
how I
day.
felt.
I was
You didn't start
literally-
you didn't start making some phone calls. Say, hey,
I was so uneasy for the rest of the day. I was so
I bet
uneasy.
you were nuts.
Dude, 9 hours, and I didn't think I was getting traded. I was like, I'm getting
oh
traded.
my gosh.
And I must admit, because I thought it was the Pirates, I had always dreamed about playing for Pittsburgh, so I had that in the back of my mind, but I just never thought I was going to get traded from the Reds. So anyway, Dan O'Brien calls me with Jerry Nairn on the phone, who was my manager at the time. He's like, hey, Sean, Dan O'Brien here, goes into the BS that, that GM say to you when they're lying to you. He's like,
It's so true.
Well, we love
we had to
having
go
you.
get. It was one of the hardest
Yeah,
decisions we've
yeah,
ever
yeah.
had to make.
Yeah, save it, Meat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
save
like,
it, yeah.
he's like,
Save it.
we had to go get starting pitching. Now I must admit, I was thinking the Reds do need pitching. I do love the Reds, and if they get a good pitcher, I get it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I was about to make $8.5 million, so I'm thinking to myself, this is a salary dump, is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, well, who'd you get for me? And he's like, we got Mike Williams.
No, Dave Williams.
Dave Williams.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry, Dave Williams.
the
We got
lefty.
Dave Williams, and I'm thinking, Dave Williams. And no,
Not Mike.
No
Dave.
disrespect to Dave Williams. Mike,
No,
yeah,
I
not
understand.
Mike.
No disrespect.
No disrespect to Dave Williams. But I'm like, I think I see the Dan. I go, Dave Williams? Dan, I go, there's a fight at the bat rack to face Dave Williams.
You didn't say that to him, did you?
Yeah, I did,
Oh,
yeah.
that's great.
I said,
That is great. You
better
said
than
that.
Dave.
I said, there's a fight. And I love Dave. I don't know Dave
How about
Williams.
you, the GM? And the guy says it to you.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I go, dude, just tell me you're dumping my salary, Dan.
Oh.
Don't tell me you're trading me for a guy that we're fighting at the bat rack for the go. So,
That is great. That is so
so then I
great.
got traded to the Pirates.
So then, at that moment, then what happens? You hang up the phone, and now what?
At that moment, I think
Excited?
I think a little. I cried for a second because
Yeah.
I was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And then I was excited. And I called my parents. I was like, hey, guess where I just got traded to? I'm like, where? Like, I'm coming home to the Pirates. I'm coming, and I got the chill.
I'm coming home.
I just got the chills.
Coming home.
I just got the chills.
I'm coming home.
I just got the chills.
So did
saying
I.
that. Yeah, I got all of my body.
Unbelievable.
He's done it a couple times.
Yeah,
yeah.
because I
Coming home.
always wanted to be a Pirate. I did. I always wanted to be a Pirate, and I was so proud to be there. And I still.
You're wearing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah, if you're not watching the podcast,
Yeah.
you're listening. Sean Casey is here wearing a 21 Clemente hoodie.
Yeah, and
So-
when I remember that I remember that opening day. I mean, I was so grateful to be from Pittsburgh and have the opening day and be announced and to come out to the cheers and my buddies and family and friends. I was, the Bucks were everything for me, man. And like I remember standing on deck a couple times, and this is a true story. Looking down at my shirt says Pittsburgh and Pirates, and thinking like, I represent the city I grew up in, and I must admit, because we didn't win, it bothered me.
Yeah.
It really bothered me.
I bet.
It bothered me so freaking bad
Yeah.
that we didn't win, and because I wanted to win so bad in Pittsburgh for those guys, and playing at PNC Park. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to love after the games going to the car, the players' lots underneath the right field, bleachers. Love walking across
The field at night.
and just walking to my car with the city in the background, and it was just incredible.
Talk about soaking it in every second. Like,
big
wow,
time.
can you believe it?
I want to give a shout out to there was a guy, I don't know if you know him, Brownie. Back when I was in high school and then college, there was a guy named Joe Ringle.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Joe Ringle?
I still talk to Joe, the lefty that throws batting practice.
Oh, my God,
He just
Joe.
moved out of Pittsburgh, and he was crying because he was moving out of Pittsburgh. He and his wife,
he's the best.
they moved down south.
Who
I
is
cannot wait
so-
to text him and tell him
Joe
he
Ringle.
will.
So Joe Ringle.
That'll mean more to him. You cannot
he's
imagine you doing that.
I get the chills thinking about it. So think about
It's
this, Mac.
unbelievable.
Joe Ringle was a guy that threw. He was like kind of like a scout.
He worked at Bell, AT&T.
But he threw great. He made it to AAA as a pitcher.
Yeah.
Got hurt, never made it. But he threw BP as a lefty to the Buccos whenever they needed it. Joe used to bring me down to Three River Stadium when I was in high school and throw me lefty BP.
No.
I swear to God.
I
To this
never
day,
knew that
I was a
story.
career 296 hitter off lefties. I honestly
Holy
think it was
smokes.
because of Joe Ringle. Joe Ringle used to throw me beat, and he was nasty. He could
Call him
Yeah,
out.
oh, yeah.
he could cut it. He
Jeez
could throw a slide.
Louise.
But
Really?
he was
Like,
If I
but
call
Joe,
Joe
but
Ringle
Joe
right
was
now.
incredible, and people are like, "Man, why do you hit lefties so hard?" I swear to God,
Have you ever been able to tell him that?
not really. I've never really told that story. I just feel
But he's such an under the radar
such a
guy,
under-the-radar-
so
Well,
humble.
he's probably just like him, doesn't want the credit, but like
No.
I
there's
feel
points
so-
in your life where it's like, boom.
Yeah, I feel so obliged to say it because it really helped me out a lot, man. This lefty in the tunnels of Three Rivers, he had the key, take me down in the offseason, no one's here, and he'd throw me BP. I was like 16, 17 years old.
Wow.
Incredible. Wow.
If you're calling to see if my arm is in shape to throw, no. Now, I've not talked to Joe in well over a year. This is Joe Ringle. Joe, we are actually recording a podcast right now at Burn by Rocky Patel on the North Shore, 2 blocks away from PNC Park. I don't even know if you stop by here. And our guest, and this is live right now. I'm not kidding you. Our guest is a guy who said, I think I hit over 290 against lefties for my major league career. Thanks to, he goes, I don't know if you know the guy. Do you know a Joe Ringle? Do you know who that might be, who our guest is? He said he picked you up?
Yeah, he used to pick me up.
He used
and
to
drive me
pick-
down.
He picked you up, took you to Three Rivers.
He
and
said,
threw
would
you
that be
BP.
Sean Casey?
That's
Unbelievable.
awesome.
Isn't that incredible?
That's
I was like
crazy.
17, 16, 17
He said,
years old.
Sean said he was about 16 or 17 years old.
How did that even happen? Were you like family friends? Like,
Is that wild,
And
Joe?
he went to school with his daughters.
wow.
You're the best, Joe.
Hey, Joe. Hey, just real quick. We're right in the middle of the podcast,
Yeah, Joe,
and we've got
hey,
Joe
man.
Ringle on the
How you
phone
doing,
down
brother?
in.
It's
I think he
Case.
moved to North Carolina, but he's not talked to Sean Casey since Casey was probably early on in his big league
Oh, that's
career.
great, man. I was
But
just
Joe, that's unbelievable.
I was sitting here
And
telling
he's
Greg and
But
Mac
You're right, man.
about growing
What
up in
that's
Pittsburgh.
gonna
And then
mean to
you,
him.
Oh,
you popped
he's-
into my
he just
head,
did
and I
it.
said,
He's
I really
right now. He's
think- I really
speechless.
believe I
because
hit lefties
he's retired
so well
long
in the big
ago.
leagues
He
because
moved.
Joe Ringle
He's had some
would take
health
me down to
issues
Three River Stadium and
and
throw in the
hip
new batting
issues in
cage down
particular.
there.
And he and his wife
So,
moved down to North
It
Carolina.
was incredible. But bro, I
And-
just
and
wanted
so
to
he's
say
just-
thanks.
He cried when he
I was
left
like,
his
right,
practice.
let's
Oh, yeah.
call him.
He's
So
overwhelmed
we're
right
doing
now,
this
so
podcast.
it's
I just want
unbelievable.
to give you that shout out.
That's
and
so
tell
great.
You,
How about-
thanks.
How about
reach
the
out to
fact
you
that
soon,
Sean
man.
Casey would remember
Okay,
Joe Ringel?
Thank you so much, man. Love you, buddy.
That's amazing.
Thanks,
You're unbelievable.
Oh, dude, but isn't that great? It's people like that.
That's
like,
Pittsburgh.
It's Pittsburgh. It's Pittsburgh. Dude,
That is
Joe Ringel was like,
Pittsburgh.
I'll pick you up. And you know, when you're the guy that throws BP, he had a bucket of big league balls. I'm like, oh my God.
You got big league
And you know,
balls,
when you're in
too?
high school back, you know the balls, like,
Yeah.
you got the brown balls.
Brr.
You got like 5 of them, and they're like, they just come off your bat. They just. Well, he used to have a bucket of balls, and I'd be like, "Oh my God, I'm hitting big league balls."
Legit.
He would tell me
And
about.
it makes you feel like this.
Yeah, dude, big time. He would tell me about throwing the bonds. What was it like throwing
Oh,
the bonds?
yeah.
What
Yeah, he
bonds
threw the
was what-
bonds.
You got Bond
Oh, yeah,
stories
Bonds.
too?
Yeah, well,
Bonds loved
because
throwing
Ringo threw the bonds a lot, and he would.
Yeah.
And when
You need,
Ringo,
you need a
and-
book.
And
You need a book.
I know, it is.
Call it
But
Peter Pan.
Peter Pan. Joe Ringo would tell me, you know, Bonds is looking to take that ball middleweight, left center, like, you know. But it just. Thank you, Joe. For real.
Thank you for
Yeah,
remembering.
incredible.
That tells you all you need to know about Sean Casey. That he's running through his Rolodex in his mind. Thinking, do you remember? It's unbelievable.
And I could never tell that story outside of Pittsburgh. I've
I
never
know.
told the
It's
story of Joe Ringo
absolutely
outside of Pittsburgh.
But that's why I moved here.
Yeah.
Like I was about to start crying when like hearing it because like think about it, somebody that you impacted at
Yeah.
some point in your life called you.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that's been.
Yeah.
last time
Like,
you
you
when
have
you-
no
when was the
idea.
last
It's
time
been
you talked
years.
to? Oh,
About
Right.
10
maybe.
years, 20
Yeah, I was
years.
going to say maybe
Right? He
maybe
could be in a
decades.
good place, a bad
Decades.
place. You just changed
Incredible.
his morale for who knows.
You know how many
So
people he's on the phone calling right now? I
Right?
guarantee you, he's calling everybody he knows.
It's just like my
So,
heart's just like
That's
pounding,
an amazing.
man.
So back to
Wow.
the trade though. You get told in December, and you talked about going to PNC Park. But what about even the first spring training? Now,
Yeah.
because I don't know where the Reds trained. Were they in?
The Reds were in Sarasota. Dude, I was in Sarasota.
No, they're in
Bradenton.
Sarasota.
I used to stay. When I played for the Reds, I'd live in Bradenton.
Unreal.
When I
Okay,
played,
so-
and it's crazy. The first year, I'd already booked my house. I'd already booked my house in Sarasota, and now I was playing in Bradenton. It was like the full year. It was incredible. It was incredible.
This,
How
hey,
nice is that?
Anybody that's listening, this just isn't normal.
That was
Yeah.
It's
incredible.
just not normal.
It was incredible. Lived over there in university. I think Lamont and Leland lived down there.
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
too.
they did.
But I loved going down to Bradenton and playing with the Reds and playing with the Buccos. So that was good.
That was really not
that
a
was
big
familiar.
change.
And also too, that spring training, there was an 18-year-old kid hitting absolute bullets, and I was like, "Who's this kid?" They're like, "Andrew McCutcheon."
Oh, my
It was
gosh.
Kutch's
Oh,
first
wow.
spring training. It was
Wow.
18.
He
First round
weighed
pick.
like 12 pounds.
Dude, he was so skinny, but
Yeah.
man, he had some juice, dude.
He
He
did.
could rocket some balls, and he was the nicest kid. And I remember kind of like, I wasn't able to take him under my wings because he was pretty gone quickly. But he was, he was there. Those guys were great, man. Freddie Sanchez, Jay Bay was one of the toughest players I've ever played with. Jack Wilson was one of the greatest fielders I've ever
Guy.
seen. Playing with Burnitz and on his way out, the Joker, Joe Randa.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good dudes. Zach Duke,
Yeah.
Paul Maholm had good stuff.
Ah.
Just a lot of good people. Jimmy Tracy, Jimmy Lett,
Jeez.
Jim Lett. Who else? Jim Colburn. We had a lot
Oh,
of Jims
yeah,
going
yeah,
on
yeah.
the
That's
staff.
right. We had a lot of gyms.
Lot
Trying to
of
think who the,
gyms.
Yeah.
who the hitting coach was then.
And the hitting coach was Jeff Manto.
Oh, that's
Mick
right.
Manto.
Mickey. Yeah,
Mick
yeah. Mick.
Manto, who, when I got called up to the big leagues in 1997, that night I got my first ever big league at bat. Johnny Gorel comes down and goes, "Hey," he called everybody Mullion. "Hey, Mullion,
Yeah.
you're going to pinch hit for Dave Justice." I'm like, "Oh my God, it's incredible." Well, we had just come from Buffalo, and our equipment didn't make it. So here I am about to go to my first big league at bat. I have nothing. So now I'm scrambling. I'm like, "Oh my God." So the first guy I go to is Jeff Manto because I knew him. I go, "Mick," I go, "Can I borrow your batting gloves?" Can I borrow your batting gloves? I go, "I'm about to get my first big league at bat, and I have no equipment." He's like, "No problem." Okay, so I get Mick Manto's batting gloves. I go through the helmet rack. I'm like, dude, 7 and quarter.
Come on.
7 and quarter. Because in the minors,
Yeah.
you have the double
Yeah,
flat.
yeah.
Big leagues, you're like, we got the single
You
flat.
probably didn't even know where to look
No,
for.
it's incredible. So I'm going. I find 7 and a quarter, lefty helmet. It's Tony Fernandez. So I don't know any of these guys. So I go up to Tony. I'm like, "Tony," I'm like, "Mi hermano." I'm like, I don't have a helmet. Is there any chance I can use it?" "No problem, my friend." So I use Tony Fernandez helmet, and I go through the bats, and that's the key. I pull Jim Thome's out. I'm like, "Man, this is an oak tree right here. I bring
big
good swing
country.
this with 2 of me." I put it back in. I start going through the bats, and I find a T141.
What right now? Where are you supposed to be on deck?
Oh, dude, I'm about to be on deck, and I'm
It's
scrambling
unbelievable.
for my first big league at bat. I finally go, boom. I find a T141, Manny Ramirez. So I go up to Manny.
Oh,
I'm
my
like,
Oh, good pick. That was one of my favorite guys. growing
yeah,
up.
No
Manny,
way.
Any chance I can use your bat? So I use Manny Ramirez T141, Jeff Manto's batting gloves, and Tony Fernandez's helmet.
You
for
had a
my
little
first-
bit of all of it
for my
right
first
there.
big league at bat. Go out there. Jim Casey and Joan Casey came to the trip. They're right behind the dish. Used to do the fist pump with my dad always growing up in St. Clair, look at him. He'd always give me the fist pump, So I go out on deck and I I'm trying to play it cool, but I look up at my dad. My parents can't believe that I'm on deck in a big league game. I remember that we caught eyes and it was like, they just couldn't believe the smile. And I gave my dad like a small fist bump and he double stands up, double fist bump.
Oh.
He's so freaking,
unreal.
Sorry, chokes me up.
Unbelievable. What city you were in?
Chicago.
In Chicago.
The White Sox.
Wow.
And
gosh,
yeah,
darn
my dad
Case.
gives it a double. Sorry, I didn't know. I was gonna cry.
That's great.
Double
man.
fist pump.
Unbelievable.
And
you almost stood up, by the way.
Yeah, but I almost
Yeah.
And then I got a 2-2. I remember getting a 2-2 slider from Jeff Darwin, Danny Darwin's brother. I singled to the right side, got to first base. Looked up at my dad and my mom, and just those feelings of like we did it. Like the Joe Ringles and the Frank Porcos and all the hits in the cages and the not having a college scholarship offer and trying to figure out your way and Jack McKeon, Jack was next year, but all these guys, Casey McKeon, guys that believe in you. I was like, if I don't get another hit in the big leagues, like we did it.
This moment is all I need.
We did it.
Unbelievable story.
Like think about what just happened, Brownie. Most guys, he's trying to find batting gloves. Then it's the helmet, and the bat is the big, like you said, it's the big thing.
Yeah.
In a T141, I have a Manny Ramirez bat. He changed it up. He doesn't swing that when I got it. But like the fact, not many guys. That's a lefty model is what I used to call it because I never saw many righties do it. But like you get that done, then somehow you lock eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how romantic this game is, and you're shaking. You maybe fist pump. I'm sure you're like,
so nervous.
almost like it's a shake weight,
so
right? You're like,
nervous,
But then your dad, all the work because it already happened to him, right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Dude, that's like I need you guys to like take a moment. He's crying. I mean,
incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible. And I remember, like, on a quick note, I remember my dad when I was 14 years old. I didn't play my freshman year. It's funny. These guys as freshmen now want to play as varsity. I didn't play on the freshman team at St. Clair.
My exit velocity.
The freshman team, yeah. I came home and was like, Dad, any chance you go talk to the coach? He must not have been watching 12-year-old travel baseball. When me, Grant Jackson, and Tim McGarvey were dominating that, you know what I mean? And so I asked my dad to go talk to the coach. And you talk about conversations with their dads and their sons. I was like, can you go talk to the coach and tell him that I deserve to play? He's like, you know what, Sean? He's like, it's not how life works. He goes, I think you're better than the guy that's playing ahead of you, but you're not glaringly better. He goes, and until you get glaringly better, you're going to deal with this the rest of your life. He goes, Grand Slam USA had just opened up in Bethel Park. He's like, why don't you go to Grand Slam USA? He goes, I'll make you a deal. I'll buy you as many tokens as you use. And he goes, and the deal is, once you stop hitting, the deal's off. And I knew it was a lot because my dad made like $33,000 a year as a chemical salesman. I knew that money meant a lot. And so I took him up on the offer to get glaringly better. I started hitting every day, and I met a guy named Frank Porco, who was my hitting coach down there at the Grand Slam USA. Every Tuesday night, I give Frank Porco $20, 5:30 to 6 o'clock, and he would show me some of the mechanics of hitting, and I fell in love with the swing. But then I would hit every day after that for those 7 days in a row. My mom would drop me off at school, and I'd hit. Played JV my sophomore year, varsity my junior year, and then my senior year I played varsity, and I ended up, I got one offer. The only offer I had to college was the University of Richmond. But the point is, had that conversation with my dad never happened, that you're not glaringly better, you got to put the work in. Like nothing's given to you in life. Nobody's coming to help you. You got to help yourself. And I think when I was standing on first base, when I got that hit, looking back up there at him, like I thought of that conversation in 1988 or 89 when he was like, I'm not talking to the coach. And you either get better or you don't.
Unbelievable.
You know what I mean? So
and all that comes to fruition. That moment, it all
was there. That moment
happens.
was like, I didn't care. I remember thinking, if you look up Sean Casey, big league player, you'll always see 1997, late September, I got a hit for the Cleveland Indians.
You're there. You've arrived.
Yeah. And on one side note, Manny Ramirez was so all over the place with his bats. The next day, he taped all his bats. And I wanted to have that bat. I go, hey, Manny, where's that bat? He goes, I don't know. He taped them on it. I was like, so I don't have the first bat I used.
That is another classic. the bat.
The bat is it's taped
Yeah,
like all
you
the
got
other
the
bats.
ball. Where's the ball?
I got the ball.
Where is it now?
It's in my room. I do the mayor's office, the podcast.
Which is
It's in that room.
How many over the years of mementos did you try and grab as many as you
Dude,
could?
Brownie, you obviously could tell that I'm a fan.
No,
Like
yeah, I can tell.
I'm a fan.
I didn't see that.
I was the guy setting up at the Green Tree Marriott at 14 years old, buying a table with a couple buddies and selling cards and all that stuff. Seriously.
Were you really?
Yeah, I remember meeting Barry Bonds at one of those shows, and I was like so excited, and he couldn't have big leagued to me anymore. I'm like, this guy just big leagued me. Like,
No surprise to
Yeah,
this
no
reporter.
surprises.
What started that?
No
for you?
surprise.
Like, what was the moment like baseball?
I just loved hitting. I loved that I could hit. My dad loved it. You know what I mean? I just felt like I had a good skill hitting, but I just loved it. It was so fun. My buddies loved it. And what was funny was I loved cards and all that stuff. And when I got my first 96 Topps card, I remember thinking too, like, I don't care if I make the big leagues. I got a
card.
Topps.
Yeah.
Incredible. But over the years, you're the mayor. Like, I did have a lot of great conversations at first. Over the years, I collected 350 baseballs and 180 bats, holding guys on. I remember Tony Gwynn. I was so nervous. I was like, hey, Tony, any chance you could send me over a bat? It's one of the coolest bats I have. It's a 32-inch bat with a
37, 38.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Dave Parker with a tennis grip, with a head tennis grip on it.
Holy
That's what he
cow,
used. But
really?
back when nobody was using those.
Yeah.
This is like late 90s. I remember Jim Thome sent me one with, after he hit his 500th homer. McGuire, an early Rawlings one in 98, 99. I have 180 bats of guys, Ichiro, all these conversations. But I was such a member. Really started it my first year when I was sucking so bad. I'm like, they're going to sit me down too. Let me see what the autographs I can get.
You're hoarding it, yeah.
Let me see what the autographs I get. I'm like, bro, send over balls, send over balls. So I have so many balls and bats and cool things because in the room I do the mayor's office podcast and I have a lot of it in there. I collected most of it myself.
That's unbelievable. So you got them all at your house?
I kept them all in my house. Yeah.
We have that in common, my friend.
Dude, right?
Oh, you do? I didn't even know that.
There you go. Well,
I
why wouldn't you?
started day one.
Why wouldn't
Well,
you?
yeah,
Right?
my uncle got me a ball when I was a kid. I think I was 7, and it was a Johnny Bench ball he got because he was a golf pro.
Yeah.
And now I do it for his son.
Oh, see, that's great, dude.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's so great. And you
But
just
that's
keep
the little
passing it
kid
down.
in-
Yeah, the little
in fact,
kid.
you're selling cards and
Yeah, dude, I'm
it's
50
amazing,
years
man.
old. I just turned 50. The little kid in me is coming
so
out in this
great.
interview.
It's so
dude,
great.
I'm crying. I'm talking about Joe Ringle. Joe Ringle pops into my head like I'm 16, 17 years old. Like, I'm a mess over here. I feel like I'm 16.
Hey, you got to think, both of you guys, like,
Oh,
you
my
kind of look
God.
back and you start to remember things and, like, the people you're thankful for. Like,
Yeah.
and I think it's the coolest thing that happened. And you do have that little kid in you, right? I see it in you all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
That's-
you're over here and you're a huge fan.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
We're
true.
both
I am,
fans of this
yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
I never played
Sometimes
the game.
I'm just sitting here like, is this real?
Yeah.
Like,
It's incredible.
this
I
is
remember
unreal.
opening day when I hit the home run at PNC Park. I was so grateful to get Frank Porco, who never played college baseball. He was my hitting coach at the Grand Slam.
Yeah.
He was my hitting coach forever.
How
I
did
would
you?
come home and
Was
hit
it
with him.
happenstance? You got him at Grand Slam.
It was happenstance. He was
Good
the guy
work.
giving. Nobody was doing that then, and he was giving lessons, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And my dad, extra $20 to my dad was a lot of money.
Jeez.
So he was such a great hitting coach, though. And that's what you go to sell. You get some of the big leaguers that can't teach hitting because they can just hit.
Yeah.
I realized teaching hitting is not easy. Frank Porco was like the best, and that one of the greatest moments of my career was I got him on the field before Game 1 at PNC Park. I got Frank down there, so I have a picture with Griffey, me, and Larkin and Frank Porco.
Jeez.
So when I hit that home run, and I was rounding the bases,
You start thinking about Frank.
he popped. Frank Porco popped into my head. All the lessons when I would just hit. I wasn't listening to him. He'd turn the machine on. I was like, go home. Pittsburgh love, like, get out of here. If you're not going to listen, go home. He would send me home sometimes if I didn't listen. So
That's
whenever
invaluable,
he would
dude.
say stuff to me, he's like, and I would just turn the machine off, and we'd have those conversations. But guys like Frank Porco and Joe Ringle, like guys that no one knows the story about my career, they just think, oh, this guy was a 300 here, this guy this and that, and like, oh no, there was a lot of people
involved to help you
So many.
get there.
And Pittsburgh people.
You make so much more sense. I mean, jeez Louise. Like,
You've never made
hey,
sense before.
but like, no wonder you love people so well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm about to start crying because I just had a very, like, crazy 2 weeks. I'm sitting here and I'm like, I didn't have any of that.
Right.
and I didn't have any money. I did all the work at work, but a man can change your life like that.
Yeah.
And dude, you have no idea of the impact that just had on my life.
Wow.
It's like, it matters.
Yeah.
And somebody doing something that they feel for the right reason, bro.
Yeah.
Like, no wonder you're the mayor. I hope every kid gravitates towards men like you, because that's stupid.
Yeah.
Love you, buddy.
Yeah,
Appreciate
and
that, man.
I haven't seen you in years,
Yeah.
and I saw your son.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
every dude I see, I think about what I didn't have.
Yeah.
And I love my dad. He had
Yeah.
issues. He's got
Right.
cancer right now, but he wasn't that man. He didn't have that.
Right.
But because you did, your son came to me
Yeah,
and said,
yeah.
I know you know my dad, blah, blah, and sat there and talked to
It's
him.
so cool. I told him,
an
I was like,
hour.
tell
He
McKendry you're
told
my
him.
son.
Right? I
Unbelievable.
was there for one night in Johnstown, first time, had no clue for Faith Night. And his son
Yeah.
came up to me. And that all makes sense now because
Wow.
he told his son. He was struggling.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I did not know that
Yeah,
story.
and he came
Yeah.
up to me and asked, and we just had a long conversation. And that
Yeah.
led because they looked up to his son.
Yeah.
Because he had a presence. It wasn't because of the name. He had a presence there because he was a leader, because his dad was a leader.
Unreal.
And I was sitting
Appreciate
here like,
Appreciate it.
whoa, that whole thing makes sense. And then he came up and thanked me at the end.
Yeah,
After the game,
that's
because I
great.
stayed for the whole time. He's like, I was hoping you're still here. We got lost and I didn't get to stay. I was like, I don't leave until I feel like I have to. And usually it's when the lights turn out.
That's awesome.
Because
man. Thank you, bro.
stuff
Appreciate
like that, yeah, like
Appreciate
it matters.
That meant a lot to my
That's
son too.
incredible.
Thank you.
Well, what you just
know,
did meant a lot, and
yeah.
I hope a lot of people listen.
Nah, thank you.
Man.
I'm appreciative. I didn't know where we were going to take this podcast, but I think honestly, I've been on a million podcasts. This probably might be my favorite one because I can really express Pittsburgh and figures in my life.
And that
And like even I mean I want to even my high school baseball coach Jerry Malarkey. Like I remember just one last quick story.
no, it's not. Again,
It's
there's
not
no.
quick. It's
no,
not
no,
quick.
again,
But
My when I was a senior,
you could go all day,
when
dude.
I was a senior in high
All
school.
day.
When I was a senior in high school, I talked about freshman year. I'm trying to
Yeah,
make
get
the team.
past that, yeah.
The freshman team, not
Yeah.
the varsity. But senior year, I'm now I'm one of the better hitters. I've hit a lot, and now I
pretty
know
quick,
myself,
yeah.
and I'm good.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
good,
now
and
you're-
I'm- And I can't get. I got no offers from anybody. Division 3, 2, 1. And I come home one day to my dad. I'm like, Dad, where is everybody? I got all these buddies going to different schools, Penn State, Bucknell. All these. I go, where's everybody? I'm good enough to play Division 1 baseball. Where's everybody? They're not coming. And he goes, and my dad said, you know what, Sean? He goes, a tough lesson to learn in life. It's no one's coming for you. No one is coming for you. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. He goes, if you want it bad enough, you got to go to them. So he's like, tomorrow, he goes, if you want it bad enough, you'll come sit down and write 30 letters to the schools you want to go to. And I sat down, I came home, I wrote 30 letters. I remember writing one to Penn State, Clemson, Worcester, Morehead State, John Carroll. I mean, whoever would listen. I wrote 30 letters. I get up, and my dad says, hey, sit down. Write one more letter.
Come on.
The University of Richmond sent you a brochure. There was no
back then, schools sent brochures.
University of Richmond sent you a brochure. Write one more letter. So I sat down, found out Coach Atkins, dear Coach Atkins, my name's Sean Casey, blah, 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 I'm a hard worker. I would love to. So boom, that's in like January. It's the end of May, my senior year. All my buddies are going where they're going. I'm about to go to John Carroll just to go to school. I'm not even, I asked the John Carroll coach, has anyone ever been drafted out of here? And the guy goes, well, Don Shula went here. I go, well, how the hell is that going to help me for baseball? So with 5 games to go in my senior year, we're playing Montour. First at bat, bases loaded. I hit a rocket left center, clear the bases. Next at bat, another couple guys on, rocket to right center. I go 4 for 4, 8 RBIs, 4 doubles. And Jerry Malarkey, who just a wonderful, wonderful man, great, what was my coach all these years. He grabs me for the last inning. Grabs me, I'm about to run out to first, and he's like, "Hey, Case," he's like, "Man, you've had a great game. How many hits you got?" I got 4 hits. How many doubles? I got 4 doubles. How many RBIs? 8 RBIs. And this Wise chokes me up again too. But he goes, "That's incredible." And he grabs me, turns me, goes, "You see the guy behind the plate?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "That's the University of Richmond coach. He drove 6 hours to come see you play on the count of the letter you wrote him 5 months ago." So he sees the when you talk about divine intervention, the greatest game I may ever play is the day one coach from the 31
last letter you wrote because your dad said, sit back down.
They were saying you gave you a brochure at the Keystone State Games. They come up, they offered me $1,000 scholarship to go to Richmond. It was like $30,000 a year. I think that paid for 2 books. But we got I think my dad took a second mortgage out of the house, financial aid or whatever. Yeah. I went to Richmond, and then I was really able to work on my craft. I hit every day underneath the basketball stadium. We called it the dungeon. It was like this little rinky-dink cage. I'd play Pearl Jam 10 album and Back in Black. Play both albums, hit off the tee all night long, try to hit that left center corner, rock it. And I was I started my freshman year, freshman All-American. Sophomore year, went to the Cape, beat out Helton.
Heck yeah.
Beat out Helton as the All-Star in the Cape. And I saw that. Yeah. I hit 340 and led the league in RBIs. And Helton was the main guy there. And then I was like, I got a shot to get drafted because if I'm beating out Helton. My junior year, I won the NCAA batting title, and then it was a second-round pick of the Indians. But the point is, had my dad not had that conversation with me, he's like, no one's coming for you. Yeah. Nobody cares. Yeah. You got to go do it yourself. And if you go do it yourself and put the work in, and it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But don't look in the mirror and be like, you know what? I didn't do enough.
Jeez, man, that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
that's an amazing story. The last letter you write.
Last letter, 31st letter.
Now
none of the Division III schools called me. How about that? I swear to God, I must have had 15 Division III schools there. No one.
It just takes one.
No one reached out. Just took one guy to come up. That's
Sean,
it.
so this coach at Richmond drove 6 hours to see you that day.
Yeah.
Was it something about the letter that you wrote or just the fact that you wrote? Because you sat down, you talked about I'm a good kid and stuff like that. It's something. Yeah.
Did anybody else ever write a letter?
I don't know.
How about that?
Think about this nowadays with letters.
Yeah. Now they don't write letters
at all. Sit down and write letters.
I just wondered. I wonder what it was that you
got
a job. It's crazy.
You know what's funny? This is part of the story. The McGarveys. I don't know if you remember T.J. McGarvey, Vietnam vet, was just a Pittsburgher. The McGarveys are a big Pittsburgh family, and Mrs. McGarvey's father was a big scout for the Pirates. And I had put down, I think my dad on the letter was like, write down, some things that they references. And I think, Mark McQueen called Pap to ask him about my bat, and he loved me, and he was always like, don't worry about your speed if you can hit, and he told me, he told Mark McQueen he thought my bat was draftable.
Oh, be darned.
Well, meanwhile, I couldn't get a Division III scholarship, so no one did. But the eye of a scout saw the hands that I had. I struck out once in high school, so that I was bat to ball. I could put the bat on the ball, and it was that.
But you were hitting by your senior year in high school. Obviously, you were hit.
Oh, I was raking. I was up there in the Whitfield. We won the Whitfield championship in '92.
There was no sniff of a draft, a big league.
Nope. 1992, we won the Whitfield finals, and it was the worst thing ever. The Post-Gazette went on strike, so it killed the publicity.
Oh, wow.
So all we had was the National Enquirer, Eleanor Bailey, the National Enquirer, just writing locally. So we had no publicity.
No way to get it out.
We had no way to get it out. No way to get it out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I just winding down. You've been so gracious with your time.
I don't know if I could take any more right now. But I honestly don't think.
But I did want to. The homecoming. You're at PNC Park. You've already played for the Reds. The career. You hit the first home run ever in the history of PNC Park in 2001. But then you're traded December 5th, 2005, and then in the middle of April that year, 2006, you have a back injury.
I broke my back.
How did that happen?
Whoa.
Jose Castillo, remember him?
Yeah.
I had a ball earlier that I didn't pick, and it pissed me off if I didn't pick anything. If I didn't pick the ball, and Jose Castillo gets a routine ball and throws me a pick, and always expect a bad throw. So I was ready for it. And I went to pick it, and I picked it, and it shot it straight in the air. And I was so pissed. I was like, I'm picking this. I'm not coming off the bag. So I stayed on the bag, and the ball was spinning in the air, and I went to grab it. And right when I go to grab it, John Mabry's running down the line with the Cubs, I believe, and he was like, "Heads up, Case!" And he put an elbow right into my back and broke my two transverse process. And Dr. DeMeo is one of my favorite guys.
He's the greatest.
Just such a great friend and such a great doctor. Yep. But I remember him. I went down, and then there was a guy on third, so I stood up, and it felt like somebody took a samurai sword from my neck to my foot in a diagonal direction.
Jeez.
And I was like, oh.
I heard that's so painful.
Oh, it was so painful. And I remember walking up the steps with Dr. Mayo, and he was like, I think it might be a cramp. And I remember saying some choice words to Dr. DeMeo.
This ain't a cramp.
Hey, Doc, this ain't a cramp. This ain't a cramp. I think I broke every bone in my body. This is not a cramp.
A cramp.
A cramp.
Yeah, I felt like my
He's
spine
trying to
came
stay
out of my
positive.
body. But it's a cramp.
Oh, my God. But I was in the
Man.
hospital for like 5 days over here, and with a broken back. And then I came back from it like 6 or 8 weeks later, which is crazy.
And then the end of July, they traded you.
Yeah, they get traded to the
Detroit.
Tigers, and then I'm in a couple months later on the World Series.
Were you surprised they traded you?
The Pirates?
Yeah.
No, but the
Were you
only
surprised you were playing after a broken back the same year?
yes,
You're talking about rotational sport.
Dude, it's incredible. 8 weeks later, I was on the field. What was crazy was the one
I love
regret.
this guy.
The one.
I love this guy.
The one regret I had the slightest. It wasn't even that big. It was like I don't even know if I had obliques at the time then. You know what I mean? I had like a slight something in my stomach, and they kept me out that night. And Dave Littlefield. So I had a Sean Casey bobblehead night. Was at the end of July, sold out PNC. Incredible. Well, Dave Littlefield called me in that day of my bobblehead and said, "Listen, Case, you can't play tonight because I have a trade lined up for you." He goes, "I can't tell you who it is, but you're getting traded either the next day or the next day." So I come out. I still have people tell me to this day.
So
in
you
Pittsburgh,
didn't play the night of your bobblehead?
No, and I still have people
That's
to
no
this
feel.
to this day. No feel, yeah,
No feel.
no feel. And they're like, "We're still pissed you didn't play your bobblehead night. We all came, we got him." So I didn't play on my bobblehead night, but I got traded the next day or the day after to the Tigers, and Dave Littlefield was like, "I can't play you and risk you getting hurt and blowing the trade."
Holy smokes.
And thank God he did, because if I did get hurt, I wouldn't have any more of these stories.
It was worth it. We're glad you got hurt.
It was worth it.
Wow.
Sean Casey, I tell you, you are
Cheers, buddy.
absolutely
Mac,
incredible.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
You're the best. dude.
Amazing
Wow.
man. Great stories. And
I'm gonna have you on my podcast, the Mayor's Office, soon.
yeah, you do. You
Yeah,
got a
I'll get you
podcast.
guys
You've done
on.
a few of those.
Yeah,
huh?
we've done a lot. We remember I said we're 50 grand in the hole, but other than that, it's going
Well,
great.
we're going to contribute to
Other
that.
than that, it's going great.
We're going to help the cause.
Oh, man.
Enjoy it. Like and subscribe, as Michael McHenry always says, wherever you find the
Download,
podcast.
like, subscribe, and download.
Yeah, and download.
You need to download.
The
Hold
mayor
my
says
cutter.
so, right?
Yeah,
Download.
you need to download it. That's how you start making some cash. guys.
Okay, do
I
that.
haven't figured that out yet. If you please go to the Mayor's Office by Sean Casey, start subscribing and download it. It's only been 4 years and no one's hit that button.
That's good.
Oh my gosh, unreal, unbelievable.
Shoot.